Que lo que mi gente, my name is Dan River, and today I want to show you my solar system. I've been getting a lot of questions about it. So at first I'll keep it simple and then I'll go a little bit more in depth. So I have two 100 solar panels mounted in the roof. I just bought those solar system in Amazon. I think they're by Renogy. They make really good products, so I highly recommend them. The connection is simple. My solar panel is connected to a charger. That charger is connected to the battery, and that battery is connected to my inverter. That's the simple version of it. So this is where I get a little bit more technical, so I hope you can follow me. There are two types of connections you can make, a parallel and a series connection. Every solar panel that I have is 100 watt. So because I have two, that means I have 200 watts. Now that translates to about 10 amps. Each of those solar panel has about 5 amps. Depending on your needs, you would choose one or the other. I have a 12 volt system, so I can't plug in or use anything that's 24 volts because it will blow everything up. So everything needs to be 12 volts. It gets really complicated to explain amps and volts and watts and all that. So if you really want to know about that, do your research. I wanted to increase my wattage usage. And to do that, you need to do a parallel connect. Each panel has a positive and negative wire. That means there are 2 positives and 2 negative wires. I connected both positives from both panels and both negatives from both panels. So in theory, now I have 1 positive and 1 negative. That's a parallel connection. If I wanted to connect it in series, I would do positive with negative and negative with positive. I have a 12 volt system, but now it's 200 watts. If I had it in series, I would have 100 watt with 24 volts. Try to show you guys, I did paint the wires and the tape that I put over the wire red so it can be a little more stealthy. So hopefully you can see what I'm trying to show. Now my wires, I'm feeding it through this. That's just a barrier so that water doesn't get in. From that hole, my wires come through here into my fuse. There I connected to a 20 amp fuse, but that's just the positive wire. You don't connect the fuse to a negative. From that fuse, it goes directly into my charger, which is 30 amps if I'm not mistaken. What the charger does is that it makes sure that it charges the batteries correctly. Depending on the type of batteries, it requires a different type of charge. It also acts as the brain of the system. So both my positive and negative are going into the charger. Now it also has another input for the batteries. My batteries are connected directly to the charger. I also have a fuse in between the charger and the battery so I can protect it, and that's a 30 amp. Something that I can't stress enough is fuses. You guys need to have fuses if you want to work with any electrical system, whether it's solar or whatever. Fuses allows you to make a mistake and not have to pay for it badly. If you plug in something that outputs more power than the system can give, something can blow up. What the fuse does is if it notices more energy current, then it blocks that pathway, protecting your system. Another thing is, I don't know if it's specific to this charger, but I think it's universal. The first thing that you want to plug into your charger is your batteries. You never want to plug in your solar system to the charger and then the batteries to the charger, because you can have a malfunction. And the cool thing about this one is that you can change between the different type of batteries. Because like I said earlier, different batteries require different type of chargers. Now my batteries are mounted underneath this bench. I'll show you real quick. Now I have 2 security systems. I have this lock, and then I have this one right here. Just open this up. It actually comes up with those. This actually serves as a leg rest. My body doesn't fit completely in that bed, so a little bit of my leg hangs out here. Now my batteries. I actually just have those mounted there because I noticed when I was driving, the batteries would move around and actually come off. These batteries actually weigh about 75 pounds, so they're really heavy. And just like my solar system, I have a parallel connection. And from this battery, I go to my inverter. I have a lot of things plugged in right now, and my inverter is the Pro Watt by Sanctrix, and I love it. It shows me my voltage, so that's how I read my battery's level. Depending on what batteries you have, the voltage will tell you the state of charge that your battery is in. Generally, it's accepted that you do not want to be below 50% of your battery's capacity. Once you go under 50, you damage your batteries permanently. So if you have a 100 amp capacity battery, you do not want to use more than 50 amps. Talking about different type of batteries, I have an AGM battery. It's specific for solar system, and I'll link everything on the description below. AGM batteries tend to be a little pricier than your average flooded battery. That's because it has more benefits. Now, the reason why I went with an AGM battery was for many reasons. One, it charges really fast. It's also maintenance free, so I don't have to worry about it. I set it and forget it. Also, it doesn't release any fumes or toxics. This means I can have it in a closed box without worrying about something happening. Because it's fully sealed, I can mount it anywhere I want. On its side, upside down, it really doesn't matter. One thing that this battery does need is a special type of charging. Your charging needs to be AGM friendly. If you just plug it into any charger, it's gonna mess up your batteries. As you can see, I have two batteries. Each have 125 amp hours, which means I have 250 total amp hours. But remember, I can only use 50% of the battery. So technically, I can only safely use about 125 amp hours. Every piece of technology has a label on the back where it shows the wattage or amp usage. You wanna look at that when you are thinking about your solar system. I added all the electronics that I was gonna use, and it came to about 15 amps. Now this is crucial because you wanna set your system to your needs. I needed an inverter that was powerful enough to handle 15 amps at a time. My inverter is a 2000 watt inverter, which translates to about 16 amps. Amps times voltage equals your wattage. I have a 12 volt system, so 2000 watt inverter divided by 12 equals 16-ish. That means I can safely use 15 amps without killing my system. Now I have a max air fan, and I did a wrong installation on it, and I blew it up like 2 or 3 times. It was horrible. So if anybody's gonna use that fan, make sure you connect it directly to a battery, or just connect the wires from an existing light in your van. Lastly, I have 2 outlets that I connected straight into my inverter. This allows me to have access to an outlet that no matter where I am on the van. Outlet number 1, really can't see it, but outlet number 2. And it's connected right here. But I think that's everything about my solar system. If I forgot anything and you are curious, just leave a comment down below and I will answer. And with that, I'm gonna call it a day. If you guys like what you see, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until the next video, adios.